Welcome to EC Talk. I'm glad that you're here. Now, look, we're all different in our own ways, but if you've ever felt like something in life made you extremely different, that made you feel unseen or unheard, you are going to just enjoy today's author. Linda Dezenski has quite a story to share, and it's very focused on how it relates to us personally in our own different way. Linda, I'm glad that you're here. What a beautiful story you have. Thank you for being so bold to share it.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Linda, let's start with the name of the book.
Persistence, living an authentic life with a disability.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the title of the book and why.
Well, persistence is a recurring theme for anybody with a disability who has to keep figuring out how to do things differently. It's not about it's not about so much not being able to do things as being able to experiment and perfect a recipe for doing something that you really want to do. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if people have a chance to take a look at the cover of the book, it's a picture of a woman in a wheelchair who is slowly pushing a rock uphill.
Wow.
And
Now,
some days it kind of
for the
feels like that.
for those friends that are watching the video right now, do you have a copy of your book right there?
I do. Let me quick grab it.
Okay,
I should have put it on the desk.
that's okay. Linda, you are such an inspiration. Again, being that I'm doing this also video, I can see the amount of effort that you have to put into getting things like the book and closing a door. That's a wonderful cover. Persistence, a woman in a wheelchair pushing a rock uphill. Um,
And they always say that a cover sells a book. So
mhm,
I wanted a picture that would portray what the book is really all about. It's
yeah,
about never giving up. And frankly, I think that's a theme that we could all benefit from, not just
absolutely.
people with disabilities. So I really wrote the book for everyone, not just people with disabilities.
Mm.
But there's a lot of people that, as you said earlier, are othered for various different reasons. And most people even have a thing that they might regard as a flaw. And depending on how they respond to their own perceived flaw, they could actually see that as being more of a disability or a liability to being able to live a happy life. And
Linda, would you be open to sharing what your disability is?
yes, my disability is cerebral palsy, which is a brain injury. And a brain injury is unique in that everyone may have injury in different parts of their brain. Mine, in particular, is a brain injury that affects my balance and coordination. And I also have something that I call my frenemy, which is my spasticity, which it means it's a constant tension of your muscles, and it can be at times very inconvenient.
Mm. That's gotta be, very difficult, but you're right, we all are different in some way. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and, what is it that you want people to understand about this book and people with disabilities? If you could just speak to someone one-on-one, what would you say to them?
Well, it's a continuum. Life is a continuum of abilities. When you're little or when you're a baby, you need a lot of help. When you're older and at the end of your life, you might need more help. And somewhere in the middle, you've got to, be a person who's productive and doing things that fulfill your purpose. And um, because some people are born with disabilities, they may need a different configuration of assistance to live their daily life. But that, however, does not mean that they can't find a purpose, something that makes them happy, something that helps them feel like they're contributing to their community. Um, and these are really the, I guess, deeper thoughts that I want people to concentrate on: happiness, contribution, feeling successful, because you can feel successful even when you have a disability. You can feel productive because you're doing something that makes you feel like you're contributing to the community. A lot of people with disabilities don't work, but they do a lot of volunteer work.
That's very true.
Um,
It's almost a blessing in disguise for some people because it's easy to get caught up in the rat race of just work, make money, da da da. What's next? I don't even stop to enjoy it. Linda, I see in you an appreciation of life and time and people. I see a deep love in you of people. It's given you a rich, deep character of yourself. And it's so obvious and apparent what a gift that is.
yeah, I've always worked in human services because of my desire to help guide other people. But really, I got it from my mom and dad,
Mm,
who were people who, they were salt of the earth, worked hard every day. When they could, they played hard too, which
mm,
was great for them. And, it wasn't easy for them to have a child with a disability. They
mm.
didn't expect me as a person with a disability when I was born. Um, and nobody had a guidebook
Right.
for how to raise a child with a disability.
And a lot's changed from then to now.
Well, in the 60s, a lot of children with disabilities were institutionalized
Wow.
because the thought was that they would get better care being in a more structured environment where support services were available. But my family decided that I was their child and they were going to raise me just as they raised my brother. And, I had chores, I had responsibilities. I was taught to, you know, be contributing to my family in any way that I could. I was raised to be polite, and I had faith because my mother would take us to church every Sunday, and we were just, regular people. And when the opportunity came along for doctors to evaluate me and recommend surgeries and things, it was a collaborative process because I know, especially as a teenager, I told my parents, I want to be able to understand what's going to happen with this surgery, and I won't agree to it unless I understand it.
Wow.
I had a friend who had intellectual disabilities as well as physical disabilities, and she had had the same surgery that I would have later. But when she had it, she didn't understand what was happening. There was a lot of pain afterwards, and she was very confused and very upset. So that was one reason I said to my parents, well, if I'm going to have this surgery to correct the way that I walk, um, I'm not going to agree unless I feel comfortable.
Wow. That's so
And
good.
they listened to me,
Sure.
and they also guided me to the best of their ability.
Mm,
And having the same expectations placed upon me was important because that's how I learned responsibility to
mm,
be just like everyone else.
mhm. Linda, doesn't that come a little bit with how society treats you? I want to talk to you about the challenge of being socially accepted. And it might be out of people being afraid, not wanting to say the wrong thing, not knowing
Yeah.
what to say. Can you speak to that?
Well, I live in Philadelphia, and some people are not afraid to tell you what they think at all. But
I grew up near
but
Philadelphia.
seriously,
I hear you. Yes.
as a child, as a child, um, first of all, I didn't realize I was really all that different until I was probably around 8, and I was going through physical therapy to start walking.
Mm,
And that's when I really started to realize, hey, I'm different. I, you know, and then as I got older, as a teenage, in those miserable teenage years that
mhm.
everyone has,
Yeah.
I was upset when we would go out to a restaurant and the waitress or waiter would ask my dad, what does she want for dinner? And I'd be like, excuse me, I'm right here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I spoke up for myself.
that's
And
good.
when after I had the first surgery in particular, which was very hard recovery, um, I would walk around the neighborhood every day. And I one day, and it was summertime and it was hot, and I'm huffing and puffing along as I'm walking around my neighborhood, and it suddenly dawns on me, hey, it doesn't matter how wonderful I think I am. People are always going to treat me as less. And so that time period of my life was kind of very angry and very very much on edge with people who looked at me the wrong way or who were afraid to talk to me. I remember one time we got a new minister in our church, and he called and talked to me on the phone. And he said to me at the end of the conversation, well, that was easier than I thought. I didn't know what to expect, and I thought I might have difficulty talking to you. And I thought, wow, really?
Yeah.
But, so part of the problem has always been that still today, I can go to a place where I'm the only person with an obvious disability in the room. Um, so getting us out in the community, getting us involved in our community, getting us involved in employment opportunities and volunteer work and our churches and everywhere we go
Mm,
is was is and was always the strategy. There's a whole political movement of civil rights for people with disabilities. And we always said, well, we have to infiltrate, meaning that we have to be out in the
mm,
community
right.
to really make our presence known so that people understand, hey, we're just like you. We may look a little different, we may do things differently, but we still can care about the same things that you do.
Absolutely.
And
Can
so
we
if I
talk?
had one message,
Yeah,
I would say, listen, I'm just like you. I
yeah,
have the same thoughts and dreams that you do,
sure.
but I might look different. Take a little time to get to know me before
Mm.
you make a judgment.
Well, so this is with CP, something that you were born with, you've lived with for your whole life. I want you to speak into when people acquire a disability, maybe even as an adult or a senior.
Yes.
Would you give some insight into that?
Well, I think the people who I know that acquired a disability, they may have anger depending on how they acquired it. Fortunately,
Mm,
I know a lot of people that have injuries related to crime. Um, and some people have health issues because they didn't take good care of themselves or they didn't have access to good health care. There's any number of reasons a person can acquire a disability, including just getting older.
mm,
But the main recipe there is first, when I've done peer counseling, I said, you're still the same person that you were. You still have the same hopes and dreams. You just have to figure out how to do them differently,
that's so good.
how to bring people in and ask for help and pretend that you're a rich person now who has an employee who comes in and helps you with your daily living.
Wow, that's a mindset.
It's a mindset.
Wow.
Exactly. Be the boss. You can still be the boss, but you have other people around you working with you and for you. And
Wow.
surround yourself with people who are able to do with you and for you
Mm,
things that you maybe can no longer do.
mm. Linda,
And
would
the
you share?
other thing is when the grief happens,
Yeah.
let it fly. Just
Okay.
let it be.
You've got to walk
Um,
through it, walk through the
and go
grief.
through it, go through every step, and realize that for every movement you make forward, you may go backward on certain days. And so, give yourself the time and patience and benefit of the doubt. But the most poignant thing that people who acquire disabilities have ever said to me is, geez, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. And boy, I had some really bad thoughts about people with disabilities in the past. And now I'm part of that group. And now I feel bad for how I used to feel before. And it's like,
Mm.
it's all a learning curve.
Sure.
But you again have to be willing to experiment. You have to be willing to perfect the recipe, as I say, like try something and fail one day, but
Mm,
don't give up. Do it differently another day, and you'll eventually find a way to get back to that point in your life where you were so rudely interrupted by whatever happened
mhm,
and find a way to get back. Like I did a lot of work with a job training program, and I used to talk to the students all the time about like they came in because they were under workers' comp, they had an injury or whatever, and they used to be able to do things and it was so doggone easy. And then you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Let's experiment with assistive technology and other ways that we can help you, again, get back to a point where you can perform the tasks that you think are so important to the job that you do.
mm.
And the great thing is technology is changing all the time.
Yeah.
So things that we used to be able to have to struggle through or very expensive things are being developed faster and cheaper these days, and there's a whole lot more options to be able to get something done.
Mhm. It sounds to me that you have a very big message of giving yourself grace and asking society to give these people grace too.
Yes, there's still a lot of prejudice and discrimination out there. There's a lot of people who think that people with disabilities are a burden.
Mm,
And we're kind of seeing it in our society that seems to keep saying in different ways, hey, these individuals are too expensive.
mm,
Expensive? Really? Well, I could start, citing chapter and verse. First of all, accommodations aren't as expensive as people think they are, and
sure.
especially if they use common sense. Keeping people from going up to the upper floor and maybe doing all of your activities on the first floor, prevents people from having to worry about whether people can get up to the second floor. And there's
Really
also
simple
portable
solutions.
ramps that are like
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah.
And, I could go on with example after example, but I also want people out there, and if I could make one political pitch, I would say this: community-based services are less expensive than paying for institutions and brick and mortar and all of the institutions that we're so busy as a community trying to take people out of. And when I say community, I mean the community of people with disabilities and our allies that are helping us to get people out into the community more. We actually save the government so much money by being in the community. And what little subsidies we may be getting from Social Security or other places, it is going to go back into the community because we're going to spend it at our local stores and buy the items that we need and so forth.
Mm,
So
it's beautiful. Linda, we've got to bring this interview to a close, but I want to give you the final thought.
the final thought is never give up and surround yourself with
Mhm.
people who are positive and can be encouraging to you, and just live every day to the fullest extent. And I want to say one more quick thing.
Sure.
There was a woman who was injured, a spinal cord injury due to an accident, and she was a ballerina. And she was able to figure out a way to dance after her injury. So if Kelsey can do that. People can figure out ways of doing whatever they need to do by being creative and open to maybe a little bit of failure before they achieve success.
Linda, you're a strong lady, and I love that you have such an incredible story that you're sharing to ignite friends, to be strong, to not give up, to figure it out. Linda, go ahead and give us your website where the book's available.
Yes, it's actually available on Amazon
Mhm.
or on Barnes and Noble. And my website is lindadezenski.com, but that's just going to give you links to where you can buy it. Um, on my website, I do have blogs and other things that people may be interested in. But if you buy the book Persistence, there's also tip sheets in the back, which I didn't get a chance to mention,
Mm.
which are things about how to make your meetings more accessible, what to do if you're assisting a family member who's new to disability, how you can get them situated more comfortably, and so forth. So I tried to
Mm.
make it a little bit applicable to everyone.
It sure is. Linda, you are loved. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, and I hope that you sell lots and lots of books because you've got a great message to share. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Thank you very much for having me.